is the weekend of WWE Clash in Paris 2025, or I suppose just Clash in Paris, because are they going to have one next year? Nobody has any clue. And we did our predictions. You can check that out from the other day. But as we always do, we sit down and we try and figure out, actually not me, you try and figure out 10 ways WWE completely ruined this pay-per-view PLE. You sent me your tweets, you sent me your social media messages, and I've gone through and got some of the best ones. They're basically a bit silly, but in the crutch of these things, we can actually come out with some bad booking ideas, which come Monday would make us cry into our cornflakes, and we'd all be sad panda. Nobody wants that. And of course, as we do go along, I will throw in some of my worries as well. Before we do get into things, I want to remind you that I'm a pro wrestler. The next thing I want to shout out is September the 13th, a Saturday, Chaos Wrestling at Yates Leisure Center. You can come and see me defend my internet championship against Nico Angelo, somebody I trained with, so it's got some personal beef, and as we all know, wrestling matches with personal beef are the best wrestling matches. You can get tickets by just finding Chaos Wrestling on social media. And as we are here as well, please do subscribe, please do hit the notification bell so you can stay up to date with everything we do on this channel. We basically do daily videos. Sometimes there are mere gaps because I am out there wrestling like a goober, but like I say, you can search for all that stuff as well and laugh at my wrestling ability or tell me I'm great. Either is fine with me. Let's always stay balanced. Now let's get into the 10 ways that WWE could ruin Clash in Paris. Now we start with number 10, and this comes from the Meat Movement, because he says Jey Uso turns on Roman Reigns to help Bronson Reed win and then become the tribal thief's right foot man. Now that's very, very good. Obviously, Bronson Reed is going around stealing shoes and has become the owner of the Shoe La Fowler and the tribal chief. Now, that's funny. Right? That's very amusing, but again, there is stuff that we can pull out of this. Jey Uso turns heel and, goes against Roman Reigns and essentially joins a new version of the Bloodline. This would be the worst thing ever because there's been no teasing. Jey Uso is mega over right now. Jey Uso could work away with the World Championship and there would be an outcry from certain portions of the internet, but there are Jey Uso fans who would be over the moon, as always. If you were going to turn Jey Uso heel, you got to give it time. You got to plant some seeds in there. And actually, Jey Uso went super mega babyface as far as I'm concerned on Raw, because he went to CM Punk and said, nah, brah, I want nothing to do with you. You ain't my friend in terms of this match because I want to walk away with the gold. And I just would never do it. I think it would be absolutely ridiculous. It would be one of those turns for the sake of turns that we did a lot under the Vince Russo era of booking. Again, we've talked about that on other videos. It's very Attitude Era-esque, and look, a lot of what we did do in the Attitude Era was good and it worked. A lot of it was utter crap, and if you go back and watch it now, once again, you'll be really sad going, how the hell did I ever get into sports entertainment if this is what I was being fed every single week? But yeah, just don't turn Jey Uso heel. We don't need any heel turns at the moment. There's no one sort of crying out to jump over to that side, unless you come up with a good story, of course, or you hear the fans like, oh man, we should lean into this. But essentially, what the Meat Movement is saying here is turn Jey Uso heel. That would ruin WWE. It certainly would ruin Clash in Paris because there's no need for it. I mean, Roman Reigns is going to beat Bronson Reed. Again, you can check out that predictions video. Do I think Jey Uso is going to actually walk away with the World Championship? No. Once again, I don't think we've built it up enough. But for the love of everything, do not turn that boy heel. Paul Wamsley says every single title match ends with interference of some kind. Seems to be how a lot of WWE's booking goes these days. Yes, over on What Culture Wrestling, you can check out my Ups and Downs series where I freelance and we have a distraction, interference, confusion counter, which I've now included on AEW too because the tribalistic maniacs arrived. I thought, fine, you know what, let's just keep everything balanced and everything calm. But the WWE one is still through the roof, and it is a crutch that they have fallen back on. I don't like it on television. I like it even less on PLEs because I think when you get to the big old pay-per-view, you should find a way to make it a bit more special, even if it is a quote-unquote B show, which a lot of people would say Clash in Paris is. But yes, I personally would actually be annoyed if every single match ends with an interference, because sometimes you can just hit your move and win. Like, I'm trying to think which match, like Roman Reigns, for example, and Bronson Reed, I think will have some shenanigans, and I don't mind that so much because we need to protect Bronson Reed. But Nikki Bella versus Becky Lynch, I don't mind Becky Lynch cheating, that's different, but that's not interference or any kind of nonsense like that. And then all the other matches, you could probably see it. I mean, the four-way, the main event, no. Well, actually, no, yes, because Division will get involved. So he makes a very good point, does old Paul. And I'm certainly hoping that when we come out the other side of Clash in Paris, that we move away from this. I think more and more people are saying, okay, maybe it's a little bit too much. I mean, there was a Raw within the last month for sure, where I think every single match had it. And again, if you go into the main event scene, oh my gosh, you just expect it now. You know you're never going to get a winner. And when they were in Philadelphia, they just threw an Extreme Rules stipulation in there because of course, they were able to come up with better creative. We've seen that since like 2002 to 2004, 2024, I should say. Like WWE was doing great stuff. I guess it does come down to the weekly load of wrestling television. You are going to get these lulls. I think that's where we are right now. But yeah, let's sit down. Let's come up with some better finishes, especially for Clash in Paris, because we don't just need copy and paste, copy and paste, copy and paste. Like, if we do get Randy Orton versus Drew McIntyre, I think Drew McIntyre has to win, given what happened around SummerSlam time. Are we just going to let Randy Orton lose clean? No. So I think you really have to pick and choose. 2 maximum, and the rest, once again, everybody should just plan something out. You can do whatever you want. It is pro wrestling, and that's why it's the best. But Paul, I'm with you. I'm getting a little bit bored of it. Mike says, Reigns versus Reed as a shoes on a pole match. It's so bad, it's good. I did ask for bad booking. I mean, it would be in a way. We essentially have to talk about WCW here. Now, WCW is over 20 years dead. It's coming up to like 25 years dead. And yet it's still a conversation, which goes to show how big those Monday Night Wars was. And I didn't even mean to... This is complete happenstance. Vince Russo, again, was obsessed with putting things on polls. The lowest point of this is when he put some Viagra on a poll. And essentially, I think it was Mike Awesome and Billy Kidman. Was it Mike Awesome or was it Shane Douglas? It's one of the two. But they essentially told Billy Kidman, you can't get an erection. And that's what the story was built around. And it was utterly terrible, and probably one of those times where you realize that World Championship Wrestling was totally doomed. I don't think this is necessarily that bad. I wouldn't mind doing a shoes on the pole match. I guess Roman would never do it because it would make him look ridiculous. I think Bronson Reed actually could pull it off. I wouldn't mind it, is all I'm saying. Because then, if it was getting something off a pole, it is a way to protect somebody like Bronson Reed without having the distraction, the interference, and the confusions. Maybe this one is a little bit too silly. Not for my taste, because goofy wrestling for life. But absolutely, what's the word I'm looking for? Well, out of nowhere, Mike has sort of picked up on a good point. That's why, really, you have honor pole matches and why WWE added the whole stipulation of a cage match where you can just climb over the top. Because while one person loses, they don't really lose. So, as ridiculous as the image of Roman Reigns climbing up a pole to grab his shoes would be, or his sneakers for my American friends, Bronson Reed doesn't take a pin, Bronson Reed doesn't get submitted, and that would be the whole point of it. Now, that doesn't mean I think all of a sudden we should be adding stipulation after stipulation, because that's something that ate at WCW's heels. But maybe we can just think more in this range. So I would actually argue that's not bad booking, and I personally would love it. I've got to that point in my life now where I just want silly wrestling. I've decided I don't need serious wrestling anymore, which is going to upset a lot of people, and I do apologize to you, but I'm getting old. I'm getting tired, which is a huge exaggeration, but I just want to enjoy my life. And when wrestling makes me laugh, I do realize I've been very much sports entertained. Now, I own that has made a joke here, but I don't think it's too far out of the realms of possibility. Brock Lesnar comes back and helps John Cena and sets up a feud with Logan Paul. Now, listen, I don't think he'd help John Cena. I think that Relapalooza show, or WrestlePalooza, I should say, is absolutely going to be Brock Lesnar versus John Cena, especially now because it is going head-to-head AEW All Out. So, and it's the first pay-per-view on ESPN. They're going to want a big match. That's a big match. I also think the John Cena Logan Paul stuff will be one and done after all this. I mean, it's more than a one and done. They've shared the ring many a time. The only reason I don't think this will happen, which is a good thing, I don't want it, is I don't think Brock Lesnar is going to fly to Paris, right? It could be totally wrong, but you can wait until WWE is back from Europe and then start building WrestlePalooza on September the 20th. But it would be absolutely rubbish if he came back and helped John Cena, but I just don't want Brock Lesnar there at all. Like, WWE, as far as I'm concerned, have already dropped the ball on this. Moving all the other stuff aside that I've talked about in many a video and just focusing on the storyline. Somebody coming back at SummerSlam, and then the only semblance of him actually existing was Nick Aldis saying to John Cena at the end of that SmackDown, oh my gosh, Brock Lesnar called, then Logan punched him in the face. I mean, maybe you could do it here if you really wanted to jump right into the weeds, but this is on a Sunday, and then you can wait 5 days. And I guess if John Cena can't do that SmackDown, then yes, you do it here. But you do have to start building the thing. I just don't care. And John Cena versus Brock Lesnar is a big match. I'm not pretending otherwise. But it doesn't get me excited. It really does feel like we've jumped back 10 years, which is the last thing that we want to do. And while Brock Lesnar and John Cena did have somewhat of a rivalry, it's not one that I would put on my, oh my gosh, John Cena is retiring. I need to see that one more time. I would prefer an AJ Styles, for example. We actually just watched that. Cheap plug on my Patreon, patreon.com/Simon316. We do watch-alongs. We watched John Cena versus AJ Styles from SummerSlam 2016, and it was great, and it was awesome. And as much as I liked SummerSlam 2014, I think it's some of the best or the smartest booking at the time for Brock Lesnar to destroy John Cena because he had just beaten the streak, and you had to make sure he became this level boss. We did it then, and I feel like it peaked. So yes, I don't want this. I don't want to see Brock Lesnar in Paris. I mean, the fans would go crazy, but we've talked about that elsewhere. Tano says a DQ finish to the Fatal 4-Way. Yes, that would be awful. That really, really would, because that's just so lame. Like, one of the cool things about having Seth Rollins, CM Punk, LA Knight, and Jey Uso in a match is how do you get out of it if Seth Rollins is going to retain? Now, I assume Brock Breaker will be there, and you'll get a bunch of nonsense. But when you do a DQ on a PLE as opposed to television, you're essentially just saying, well, we wanted to, get out of this without hurting anybody. And that's not what we should do. We should figure out where are these people going to be in 6 months, the Paul Heyman method. And therefore, LA Knight can lose because we know here he's going to win a world title. He's going to win a US title. He's going to join a tag team and win a tag team title. And that way, also, does anybody actually care? Like, if you're on a losing streak or you're being booked terribly, of course. But I think anybody in this match could take a pin with the right finish and it well worked out. And it's not going to harm them. They're not going to be less of a star. If they're a babyface, they're not going to get less boos or less cheers, I should say, or more boos. I mean, let's say that it was LA Knight that takes the pin, which I actually think is quite high. Make sure you give him a microphone on Monday night because that guy can get himself back over. And I'm not saying that's not going to be disappointing because, of course, LA Knight has a huge fan base. We don't really give him a lot, but that's what we need to figure out from a creative point of view. I'm a bit bored of disqualification or no contest finish just because we've done a lot of them, and after a while they do become a bit transparent. So I agree with you, Tano. I'd rather Seth Rollins stomp 1, 2, 3 on LA Knight. And it would suck for LA Knight, but at least we got something we can actually sink our teeth into. Connor says Logan Paul wins using only the 5 moves of doom. So what I take from this is Logan Paul wins in general. I don't want to see Logan Paul beat John Cena in his last run. I think we talked about this on the predictions. I believe that John Cena will lose his last match. If that is the case, from here on out, it's win, 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 win. But also, we need John Cena hustle, loyalty, and respect, right? He's only just gone back babyface. He's already gone. He lost at SummerSlam too. We need to elevate him back up to this GOAT status. And this actually is an occasion where a win can do that. And sure, he's John Cena. If he lost, it's not going to make any difference. People are still going to love him regardless. And once again, if you gave him a microphone, he'll probably make you forget about this in about 4.2 seconds, which we used to do back in the day. Meh, don't worry about it. But again, we're down to 8 dates after this. You want to feel good about what John Cena is doing. Just let him win. I mean, absolutely doesn't affect Logan Paul, who you could argue is one of the biggest heels in the company. If anything, it's just going to make him look like a bigger goober, and therefore he'll get more jeers, and therefore he can do his role as a heel more effectively. So I don't know if it would ruin the whole show. It would leave a bad taste in my mouth. Because, we love John Cena, and now it is a proper farewell talk, so we don't have to boo him. We can accept him for who he is, whatever that means, and therefore he should win, especially coming off the heel run, and especially because he lost at SummerSlam. I don't think you want John Cena to lose 2 matches back-to-back. Zeus! Imagine it's the real Zeus. What an honor this is. Thank you so much, Zeus, up there in Mount Olympus. The 30,000 tickets all bought by one person hoping to sing to AJ Styles' on his own, only to find he's not on the card. Would be bad, but again, card always subject to change. I don't mind his going down on Monday Night Raw. Again, it's AJ Styles versus Dominic Mysterio. I think AJ Styles could win that Intercontinental Championship. But I suppose the sad part here, or one of the ways that we kind of have ruined, is that a bit strong? Maybe. Clash in Paris is not just doing it on the show. Like, especially if we're going to add Drew and Randy as well, meaning there was space. And also, it doesn't always have to be a 5-match card. Even if we pushed it up to 7, so I am throwing Randy and Drew in there, not every single match has to be 15 minutes. We don't need to pad the thing out with videos and adverts and promotional tools. Although I guess by this point, there's no point worrying about that because it's going to happen. But I would just love it if there was a short match, a longer match, a sort of in the middle match, and you want some title changes. I don't think I'm changing any titles on this show. And therefore, AJ Styles beating Dominic Mysterio when we have just heightened things because it is going to feel like a bigger event. That makes sense to me. So actually, I'll green light this one, and it's one that's already happened. We did just, what's the word I'm looking for? Lower it down on the totem pole. Just a small part, because we didn't put AJ Styles and Dommy Boy on it. Yannick says John Cena turns heel again and helps Becky Lynch beat up Nikki Bella. Now, my gosh, that's personal, because of course, Nikki Bella and John Cena used to date. I'll take John Cena turns heel again as the way that we could ruin it, and that would be true. I mean, it was controversial to begin with, but to do it again, I think you'd actually piss so many people off they just stop watching, and you don't need him to be involved in a women's intercontinental title match. I don't think Nikki Bella should win the IC title either. We've talked about that already, but no, let's not turn John Cena heel. He's a babyface now, and he will be for the rest of our lives. John carries us on as well because he says Nikki Bella wins clean to take Becky Lynch off TV following the Aussie Backlash. We spoke about the Aussie Backlash the other day. We shouldn't have said it. It was ridiculous, but it's just become in my life. It's just wrestling television. That's what we do. It's not a good thing, and it's probably bad that I did take it that way. I guess you just get ground down by these things. But no, I just think everybody should apologize and talk to the Osborne family and say, what would you like us to do to smooth over the situation? Don't take the title off Becky. Don't have her lose. And Nikki Bella, as I've just talked about, does not need to be the Intercontinental Champion, especially not due to outside forces. Like, Becky Lynch has done a terrific job with that championship. It was a faux pas for sure because, Kelly Osbourne gets to decide this. She just lost her father. So she's upset. It's perfectly, allowed. You see some people go, I can't believe she's upset. She lost her dad. One of the hardest things you can ever go through in life is losing a parent. But let's just figure out as best we can. We do not have to change that title. And Fido says, LA Knight, CM Punk and Jey Uso are the best of friends at the start of the main event, and they only fall out after confusion. The thing I hate most of all. Because we talked about this, especially on Ups and Downs, I just hate the fact that baby faces have to be friends because they're baby faces. Now, sometimes it works, for sure, like Sami Zayn and Jey Uso being buddies in the Bloodline when they'd essentially turned, although we hadn't pulled the trigger yet, was a lot of fun. But CM Punk and LA Knight were basically catfighting at one point, and they were still trying to make up like a week later. I was like, it was only after LA Knight got thrown through a table when finally they hated each other. And that's why I'm happy that Roman Reigns had that pep talk to Jey Uso. Like, don't listen, it's not your friends. You're trying to win championships, man. It's time for you to go out there and prove yourself. So if this match starts and we just deviate back to what we all hate Seth, and therefore we're going to be buddy-buddy, I just can't stand it. Just have a big fight. We've done the storytelling. We've made it clear that every single person in this wants to win the world championship, so you pick a side. Let's say Seth Rollins has no fans. Of course he does, but because he's the heel, nobody wants to cheer him. If CM Punk is your guy, you prefer him to Jey and LA Knight. Same with LA Knight over Jey and CM Punk. Same with Jey over those two. You pick your winner, right? It's like a gambling machine, that horse machine that's in the arcades, and you pick red and hope that red goes all the way, and if it doesn't, you don't all of a sudden switch to green and go, oh, come on, green. You stick with red, and you take your licks, and you get sad, and once again, you just cry into your cornflakes. So do not do that. It's an old school trope that I think we actually can do away with. Of course, babyfaces can be friends if there's a reason to be friends, but LA Knight hates everybody. LA Knight's barely been in a tag team. Even when LA Knight was teaming with John Cena, he was a good guy. He looked at him like, man, I can't trust you, and it turned out he was right. He pulled a Bobby Heenan. So, what's your name, Fido? Totally. Just don't need it, especially people like Jey Uso. Actually, I can handle it with. As CM Punk, who is like a powder keg ready to explode, and an LA Knight who looks at people like they're trash. Absolutely not, man. You want that world title and nothing else. So there you go. 10 ways that we can essentially ruin Clash in Paris. I appreciate you. You must think these because you sent them my way. At simonmiller316. And listen, if you do have some more, please drop them in the comment box below before you like the video, share the video, and subscribe. Otherwise, you can go, like I say, to Patreon and check out my watch-alongs. You can go to grillermind.com/Simon. You get time and get 10% off. You can also get my new fitness channel and a link down there. Otherwise, come say hi on social media and search my name on Cameo and TikTok and merchandise stores because you will find my stuff. I appreciate you, my friends. Make sure you enjoy Clash in Paris. We will be back on Monday to chat about that and SmackDown 2. And see you then.